Have you ever felt it? That gut-wrenching, heart-pounding, soul-screaming silence. You've poured your heart out. You've been the rock. You've been the one constantly bridging the gap, sending the good morning texts, making the plans, carrying the entire emotional weight of a relationship on your shoulders. And for what? For crumbs of attention, for delayed replies, for the constant, draining feeling that you are more invested, that you care more, that you are fighting for someone who seems perfectly content to let you drift away into the void. It's a special kind of hell, isn't it? To love with a hurricane inside your chest, while the person on the other side is living in a vacuum. But what if I told you that you've been holding a power you never knew you had? What if I told you that the very silence you fear, the space you are afraid to create, is the most potent force for change you will ever wield? What if the key to shifting everything isn't about trying harder, but about the courageous, revolutionary act of stopping? When you stop the chase, when you cease the pursuit, when you finally take that immense energy you've been pouring into them and you pour it back into yourself, is when the entire universe of that relationship shifts. The avoidant, who has built an identity on being the one who is fine without you, is suddenly faced with a terrifying reality: your absence. And in that void, that's when they start to panic. Let's get raw and real for a moment. Let's talk about the dynamic you're trapped in. It feels like love, it feels like commitment, it feels like you're just being a caring person. But from a psychological standpoint, from the perspective of primal human attraction, what you're actually doing is engaging in a destructive dance called pursuit. And when you are dealing with an avoidant personality, pursuit is like pouring gasoline on a fire you're trying to put out. You have to understand the core wiring of an avoidant individual. Their entire framework for relationships is built on a foundation of self-preservation and a deep-seated fear of engulfment. They equate closeness with a loss of self, with being controlled, with being smothered. So their internal compass is calibrated to seek space and independence. Now, enter you, the pursuer. You are loving, you are attentive, you are proactive. Your compass is calibrated for connection and intimacy. Seems like a perfect match, right? Wrong. It's a perfect storm, because every time you reach out, every time you double text to check in, every time you try to talk about us to resolve the distance, what is the subconscious message you are sending the avoidant? You are screaming both loudly and silently, I need you to feel complete. And what is the one thing an avoidant is terrified of? Being needed to that degree. It confirms their deepest fear that a relationship will consume them. So your pursuit, which comes from a place of love, is interpreted by their nervous system as a threat. And do humans do when they feel threatened? They retreat. They run. They put up higher walls and thicker barriers. Your chase literally triggers their flight response. It's not even a conscious decision most of the time. It's an autonomic survival mechanism. You are trying to love them into feeling secure, but you are actually making them feel more insecure. Think of it like this: you're holding a butterfly. If you hold it too tightly, you crush it. If you hold your hand wide open, it sits there content. The avoidant is that butterfly. Your chasing is the tight fist. They can feel the pressure, and their only instinct is to struggle, to break free. Now, let's flip the script. What happens when you open your hand? When you stop chasing? The entire dynamic is forced to change. The avoidance reality is built on your pursuit. They are the rock around which your river of attention flows. They have come to expect it, to rely on it for their own sense of stability. They know with absolute certainty that you will be there. This certainty breeds complacency. It breeds devaluation. Why would they value something that is always available, always desperate, always there, regardless of how they behave? They wouldn't. So when you stop, when the river of your attention suddenly dries up, the rock is left exposed. The constant background noise of your presence vanishes, and the silence is deafening. Their identity, which was partially built on being the one who could walk away, is suddenly challenged. Because if you are no longer chasing, then who are they? If you are no longer trying to earn their love, then what is their love worth? The foundation of their perceived power, your pursuit, crumbles beneath them. This creates a state of cognitive dissonance. Their brain cannot compute the new data. They were always there. Now they are not. Why? What changed? This question, this nagging, unsettling question, is the beginning of the panic. It's the first crack in their armor. It's the moment they are forced to look up from their independent bubble and notice that the person they took for granted is no longer standing there, waiting. This is the law of reverse pursuit in action. It states that the more you pursue someone who is wired for distance, the more you reinforce their need for it. And conversely, the less you pursue, the more you disrupt their internal world and force them to confront the possibility of actual loss. This isn't a game. This is strategic disengagement for the purpose of resetting a broken dynamic. It's about stopping the behavior that is actively killing the attraction and respect in your relationship. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful step forward is a step back. For months, maybe even years, you have been an energy fountain for someone else. Your mental focus, your emotional resources, your time, your creative spirit, all of it has been siphoned off, directed outward toward this person who remains just out of reach. Think about the she, our volume of psychic real estate they occupy in your mind. The constant mental rehearsals of conversations, the decoding of texts, the analysis of their tone, the worrying, the hoping, the planning. This is not just mental activity, this is your life force. This is the very energy you could be using to build your empire, to master your craft, to deepen your friendships, to nurture your body, to fuel your passions. Instead, you are pouring it into a black hole of uncertainty. A strategic pullback is not about playing hard to get. That is a shallow, manipulative tactic. A strategic pullback is a profound act of self-respect. It is the conscious decision to declare, enough. My energy is a precious resource, and I will no longer invest it where I am not receiving a return. It is the ultimate boundary. When you initiate this pullback, you are doing two monumental things simultaneously. First, you are starving the dysfunctional dynamic of its fuel. The dance between the pursuer and the avoidant requires both partners. When you stop dancing, the music grinds to a halt. You remove yourself from the game entirely. Second, and this is the most critical part, you are redirecting that colossal stream of energy back to its source. Imagine taking all that brain power, all that emotional intensity, all that time you spent crafting the perfect message, and you invest it back into your own life. You go to the gym with that energy. You work on your business plan with that focus. You read that book you've been putting off. You call an old friend and have a genuine present conversation. You learn a new skill. You take a trip. You simply sit in silence and reconnect with who you are without the constant anxiety of the relationship. This process of reclamation is transformative. It changes you on a cellular level. As you pour energy into yourself, you begin to glow from the inside out. The desperation that once clouded your aura begins to dissipate, replaced by a growing sense of self-worth and purpose. You are no longer defined by the reflection in someone else's eyes. You are defined by the actions you take in your own life. This is not something you can fake. People, especially avoidant people who are hypersensitive to neediness, can feel this shift. They can sense when you have moved your center of gravity from them back to yourself. This is incredibly unsettling to them. Why? Because your constant pursuit made them feel secure and in control. Your energy was a trophy they held, proving their desirability without them having to risk vulnerability. When you take that trophy back, their shelf suddenly looks very empty. They are left with the chilling realization that the validation they were receiving from your chase is gone, and they now have to generate it from within or risk facing their own emptiness. Your strategic pullback forces them to sit in the quiet of their own company without the background noise of your attention to distract them. This is where the real magic happens. This is where they start to wonder, what are they doing that's so important? Who are they with? Why are they so okay without me? Your absence becomes a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. Life and people will always move to fill it. By reclaiming your energy, you are not just healing yourself. You are creating the exact conditions necessary for them to feel the loss so profoundly that they may, for the first time, feel the urge to pursue. Most people enter relationships from a place of lack. They see the other person as the prize to be won. They think, if I can just get them to love me, to commit to me, to choose me, then I will be happy, I will be complete, I will be valuable. This is the core error. This is the mindset of the beggar, not the king. When you emanate from this space, you are communicating one thing: you are better than me. You have more value than me. I need you more than you need me. And people on a primal level are repelled by this. They are attracted to confidence, to self-value, to independence. They are attracted to people who see themselves as the prize. So what does it mean to become the prize? It means you must undergo a fundamental identity shift. You must stop looking for someone to complete you and start realizing that you are already whole. The prize is not something external to be acquired. The prize is the experience of being with you. It's your peace, your joy, your passion, your mission, your integrity, your humor, your strength. It is the quality of your life. When you become the prize, your entire demeanor changes. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop accepting breadcrumbs. You stop waiting by the phone. You have standards, not expectations. Expectations are what you place on others, and they lead to resentment. Standards are what you require for yourself, and they lead to respect. A person who is the prize does not chase, they attract. They don't convince people to stay. They create an environment so incredible that people are terrified of being asked to leave. How do you do this? You build a legendary life. You become obsessed with your own growth. You have a mission that is bigger than your relationship, a purpose that gets you out of bed in the morning with fire in your belly. You cultivate a vibrant social circle. You take care of your body like it's a temple. You develop your mind through reading and learning. You find joy in your own company. You become financially intelligent. You travel. You explore. You have stories to tell. You become a person of value by creating value in the world. Now, let's talk about the impact this has on the avoidant. When you are needy and chasing, you confirm their belief that relationships are draining. But when you become the prize, you present a completely different proposition. You are no longer a drain on their energy. You are a source of energy. Being around you feels good. It feels inspiring. It feels uplifting. You represent a world of abundance, success, and joy. To lose you is not just to lose a partner. It is to lose access to that entire world. The fear of loss is no longer about missing your texts. It's about the terrifying thought of you moving on, thriving without them, and giving your prize, your incredible life and love, to someone else who will appreciate it. The avoidant is often driven by a fear of missing out, FOMO, on a deep level. When you are living a small, needy life, they aren't missing out on much. But when you are living a large, magnificent life, the fear of missing out becomes agonizing. They start to think that amazing life, that incredible person, that could have been mine, and I blew it by being distant. This is a panic of a much higher order. It's not just about ego, it's about the real him. What did they mean to me? Am I going to let this end? The silence you create is the space where these questions can finally be heard. As long as you are making noise, they didn't have to listen to the quiet voice of their own conscience or their own potential feelings of loss. Your absence becomes the canvas upon they paint their own fear of loss, and that self-generated fear is a far more potent motivator than any fear you could try to instill in them directly. The dynamics of any relationship can be boiled down to a simple but profound spectrum: needy versus needed. For the entirety of your challenging dynamic, you have been occupying the needy role. You are the one who appears to need the relationship more. You need their attention, their reassurance, their love, their presence to feel secure and happy. This neediness, while completely human, is a repellent to secure attachment and a trigger for avoidance. The avoidant, conversely, has occupied the needed role. They are the one who is perceived as being less invested, the one who holds the power, the one whose affection is the prize to be won. This imbalance is the source of your pain and their complacency. The single most important psychological shift you can make is to move from the energy of being needy to the energy of being needed. This does not mean you become cold and unfeeling. It means you become so whole, so complete, and so resourceful within yourself that your value to the other person becomes apparent. When you are needy, you are a liability. When you are needed, you are an asset. Think about what people truly need in a partner. They need someone who is emotionally stable, not someone who is an emotional vortex. They need someone who is a source of strength, not someone who constantly drains their strength. They need someone who has a vibrant life, who can bring joy, perspective, and support to the table. They need a rock, not a project. by doing the work on yourself, by reclaiming your energy, becoming the prize, and mastering strategic silence, you transform from a liability into an asset. You become the stable, secure base that the avoidant deep down craves but is too afraid to admit they need. Their avoidance is often a mask for a deep, unspoken fear of abandonment. Your neediness confirms that fear. It shows them a mirror of dependency. Your empowered wholeness, however, assuages that fear. It shows them that you are strong enough to handle their distance, that you are not going to fall apart, that you are a safe harbor, not a storm. This is incredibly attractive. It makes them feel that they can relax, let their guard down, and be their imperfect selves without having to carry the entire emotional weight of the relationship. When you become needed, the panic they feel at the prospect of losing you is not about losing a source of constant validation. It's about losing a true partner, a source of strength, and a cornerstone of a stable, happy life. They panic because they realize they are about to lose someone who actually adds measurable value to their existence, and finding another person of that caliber is not easy. The panic threshold is that precise, identifiable moment when the avoidant individual's core certainty that you will always be there waiting shatters. It's the psychological tipping point. Up until this moment, they have lived in the comfortable, low-risk illusion that they are in control of the distance and intimacy in the relationship. Your pullback has been happening, but they may have rationalized it. They're just busy. They're giving me space, which is nice. Attachment dynamics of your past simply lose their power over you. This is the state of abundance. A scarcity mindset says, this is my only chance at love. I must hold on tight or I will be alone and unhappy. An abundance mindset says, I am a whole and valuable person. I am open to love, but my happiness is not dependent on any single individual. My life is already rich and full. Living in abundance means you have so many sources of joy, validation, and purpose. Your work, your hobbies, your friends, your family, your health, your personal growth, that no one person can make or break your world. Their presence in your life becomes a wonderful bonus, a cherry on top of an already delicious sundae. If they are present, fantastic. You get to share your amazing life with them. If they are absent, you are still left with your amazing life. This is the most attractive state a human can be in. It radiates an aura of invulnerability to neediness and desperation. For the avoidant, this is both comforting and terrifying. It's comforting because it means you won't smother them, you don't need them to breathe. It's terrifying because it means you have the ultimate power, the power to walk away and be perfectly fine. When you live in abundance, you set the terms for any relationship. You will no longer tolerate being an option because you know you are a priority to yourself. You engage with people from a place of genuine desire, not fear-based need. This is the final piece of the puzzle. It's the insurance policy that ensures that no matter what the avoidant does, whether they panic and return or they fade away, forever you win. Because you have reclaimed the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. This journey we've outlined is not for the faint of heart. It is a path of courage, requiring you to stare directly into the face of your deepest fears, the fear of abandonment, the fear of being unlovable, the fear of being alone. It demands that you break the addictive cycle of pursuit and reward that has kept you hooked on hope and crumbs of attention. It asks you to trust in a power you have never fully wielded, the power of your own absence. Remember, the core of this transformation is a shift from external validation to internal fortitude. It's about realizing that the magnetic force you've been trying to generate through texts, calls, and pleas is weak compared to the gravitational pull you create when you become the center of your own universe. When you stop reaching out, you are not playing a game. You are making a profound statement about your own worth. You are declaring to yourself and to the world that your time, your energy, and your love are far too valuable to be spent on someone who does not actively choose to receive them. The panic you incite in the avoidant is not the end goal. It is merely a symptom of the new reality you have created. It is the sound of their illusion of control crumbling. It is the evidence that your strategic disengage meant has worked. But heed this warning, their panic is a critical test. If you run back at the first sign of their attention, you teach them that your newfound strength was only a temporary costume, and you will instantly revert to the old dynamic, this time with even less power than before. The true victory lies in whether they choose to step up and meet you in this new, empowered space you occupy. Some will. The shock of your absence will be the wake-up call they needed to confront their own patterns and fight for a relationship they truly value. But many will not. Their fear may be too deep-seated, their patterns too ingrained, and you must be prepared for either outcome. This is why the final stage, living in your abundance, is non-negotiable. It is your anchor. It ensures that your happiness and self-worth are not contingent on their reaction. If they return, you can engage from a place of strength, setting healthy boundaries for a new chapter. If they do not, you are not left empty-handed. You are left with a stronger, more vibrant, more self-reliant you that is now irresistibly attractive to healthier, more available partners. So walk this path, not to get them back, but to get yourself back. Use the silence, not as a weapon against them, but as a sanctuary for yourself. Become the prize, not for their approval, but for your own sovereignty. When you do this, you win the only game that truly matters, the game of your own life. You transform from a prisoner of someone else's avoidance into the architect of your own destiny. Thank you for having the courage to read this, to feel this, and to confront the patterns that have held you back. Your journey to reclaim your power starts with a single decision. Make that decision today. Go out there and build a life so incredible that you become your own greatest love story. I believe in you. Now, go and believe in yourself.